I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing our top 10 movies of the year, and it's something that we have all been
2023.
2023, let's not forget that. And it's something that we've been looking forward to this whole week. And as always, I have here with me Ramon
Hey guys.
and Ro.
Howdy.
Hey guys, so I started watching a hell of a lot of movies this week to just try to see like if if I could put
Yeah.
anything on my top 10 list. Some stuff made it, surprisingly, two of the movies that I just watched this week made it. One of them's not a surprise, but one of them is definitely a surprise for me as I was watching this movie. But I think you guys are probably excited to do this. I mean, I'm sure you guys, thought about it really hard about what you want to put on this list.
Raul only decided like 10 minutes ago. We just talked about this. Not prepared whatsoever.
Well, no, I just decided the order
Oh,
final
okay,
because
okay.
that's the hard thing for me, trying to figure out like which one I like more than others, and then like the reasons why I like one more than the other. So
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
what I struggled with.
Sounds like a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just
Yeah.
want to say, obviously, we didn't watch every single movie that released in 2023. There was a lot, some
We
that I
didn't?
think I at least didn't. But there was
No,
some
me
movies
neither.
that I think had I gone to the movie theater, I could have, I could
Mhm.
have put in my list. Sadly, we didn't see some of these movies, so if they're not on our list, don't get mad at us. But I'm excited to start with the movies that we did see. Especially because I don't know what your list might hold, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, but I agree too, though. I think a nice little, like, to begin with, I agree with Carlos, even just the last couple of days. Like, dude, not sacrificing sleep to watch movies that I knew ultimately kind of should belong in this list regardless. But I had to remember, again, this is lists for things that we like the most, like top 10, right? It's not like the best movie, at least for me. It wasn't necessarily always the best movies or something, but I was really excited to pick these because some of them are pretty goofy. But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had me no lacking sleep right now.
I just want the audience to remember that I went to see Aquaman for you, not for me.
Number one, baby, number one.
I wish I would have seen it. I didn't see it, so it's not going to be on my list. Sadly, just FYI.
Well, you
I think
can both.
I think that's as far as I'll go as mentioning that movie. But let's start, man. Let's start with we're each gonna talk about our from 10 to bottom. We're each gonna say our number 10s and then our number 9s, and then we're just gonna go on. So let's start with our number 10s if you guys are ready.
Sure I am.
Somebody give me a drum roll.
I play trumpet, man, not percussion. It's all you, bro.
All right, so to start off the list, the movie that I picked as number 10 was sort of a surprise, man. A movie that I really thought about. I thought it was well executed. It was a big budget movie. And in a lot of big budget movies lately have been failing, but this movie I think went out of its way to prove that it did belong in a big budget category. And I would actually love to see a sequel because I think I would actually go to the movie theater to see it. And that movie is Dungeons and Dragons, man. Dungeons and Dragons was a surprise hit for me.
Bro,
I still think about that joke where Chris Pine is like, "What is he gonna do with that rock? Is he gonna go left, right? Is he gonna he's gonna go over it? Okay." So Dungeons and Dragons, man, that made my list of movies that I actually want to rewatch, and I really enjoyed my first watch of it.
hey, let me
Dude.
just ask this question, Raul. Did you forget about Dungeons and Dragons?
I did not forget
okay,
about
okay,
it.
Okay, good.
But honestly, I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised because I one, as a D&D player, I had a different appreciation to it than non D&D players probably. But the fact that you also enjoyed it, and someone that I think has a good taste in movies, it kind of helps that fact.
It was
Even
funny,
though,
man.
even though you kind of have it kind of low, but I'm
I,
kidding. I'm just glad you have
I
it.
know, Ramon, you saw it in movie theater and you weren't too like okay with it, but I feel like this movie it's a fun movie, man. Out of anything that came out in 23, this is a big budget that actually was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I don't think. I mean, it definitely did not make my top 10, but I don't think it's for like any terrible reasons. I think
Yeah.
it's just for more reasons of why the other ones made it up there. So yeah,
No.
I mean, but I did enjoy the movie though. So that was a really good one that I actually debated a little bit. It's just, again, it wasn't on the top of my personal like.
Okay. What about you, Ro? Who's next, Ramon?
Oh, doesn't
Ramon.
matter. Yeah, I could go next. All right. So to be fair, it's not anymore. But what it was, number 10, was Leave the World Behind, and I really wanted to keep that movie there because I feel like it just got really underrated, underappreciated. But it was actually just great, and it was a fair mention. If I mentioned one movie, it'll be that one, just because again, it just had a cool concept to it. Loved it. But anyways,
Made it on Obama's list.
I mean, yeah, of course, but that's I feel like that's a little like biased, you know.
Oh.
But no. So then Carlos told me about this movie, man, and I checked it out, and it was definitely one of the ones that I squeezed in last minute. But Saltburn is my true number 10.
Really?
Yes, and I'll say better than Leave the World Behind, because Leave the World Behind, I think it gives you anxiety about being an American. It's something crazy. It's about paranoia. It's about all this crazy world scenarios. Like, we're not doing spoilers for this, right? Like, I guess if one of you guys haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. Okay, cool. So yeah, so Saltburn is just a movie that will make you like rethink a lot of other movies, and it'll give you maybe 2 scenes that you probably never seen in a movie before. Like two scenes that were in this movie I've never seen in any other movie before, and I think for that reason it just climbed up to number 10. It was very creative. The plot kind of surprised me because it felt a little boring and underwhelming in the beginning as it was picking up, but then once it hit like the point of you're like, oh, I kind of get it, and then it just freaking goes crazy. Like, in crazy I mean like unmentionables doing stuff crazy. But yeah, definitely number 10. It would have been higher up there, but haven't had enough time to process it.
I don't know if people just didn't see this movie, like as far as the people that I listened to as far as reviews, because Ramon, if this had been a movie that people would have been like, don't see a trailer, don't read anything about it, just go to the movie theater and watch it, I would have bought us a ticket, so we would have been there and been like, dude, I would have loved to see this movie with you because of the shock value in a lot of things that happen in the movie. And to me, one of the craziest things that happens, or one of the lines in the movie that is so crazy, is the idea of like when the mom is like, all right, it's time for lunch. Let's just go have lunch or whatever. Or, you know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it was just so freaking insane. So yeah, Saltburn was a blast.
Yeah. No, so definitely, you guys should recommend it. I mean, watch it.
So you're saying I should have seen it?
You should have
watched it instead of the movie that I did watch that almost made my top 10.
It didn't even make you see. Well, the movie I just watched also didn't make my top 10, so we're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But yes, watch it.
All right,
bro.
All right. So I guess I'll go with my number 10, and I'll honorable mention the 2 movies that I saw today and yesterday. I saw Gran Turismo today. I really liked it, and I wanted it to be on my list, but it ended up kind of not, because another movie that I saw this last weekend made the list instead. But Leave the World Behind I saw yesterday, and that was another honorable mention that I contemplated putting on my list, but it ended up not making the cut because I had to make room for what was in my number 10, and that it was actually Barbie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I know. So I finally saw it this last weekend. And yeah, like I did enjoy it. I get it. Like after watching it, I understand the hype. I kind of wish I would have seen it in theaters. Because I'm sure it would have been different if I saw it in theaters. But yeah, like I liked it. I get the hype around it. I get the meaning. I did like the acting, even though it was kind of like melodramatic in some ways, but like Margot Robbie is so good, like with the subtleties that she did, kind of realizing random little things, and then kind of like the smart comedy and jokes that they had throughout. So it was fun, but also kind of, I don't know, it was cool. It was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, your mediocrity, man.
I mean, yeah. I'm glad I'm get to say this now than later, but Barbie didn't make my list. I saw it in the movie theater a little bit later after, what I thought maybe the theater wouldn't be as crowded, but it was still a full theater. And sadly, a lot of the people that I saw this movie with in the theater, they didn't understand the jokes, which kind of upset me at the idea of smart jokes, people not laughing at them. But something about Barbie, man, I don't know if the hype was just too high for me to meet what I thought it was gonna be, but it just didn't make my top 10 list. But it's a good movie. It's a great movie, and I do have it as one of my honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about, Barbie.
Well, fun little thing is that Barbie is my number 9. So if you just want to keep going down,
let's go. Yeah.
And then there you go. And then no. I you know what? This is probably gonna piss you guys off a little bit, but I when I was making this list, I was trying to decide Barbie, Oppenheimer, And then I'm like, no, like everybody's just like really like attached them together over the last like few months that definitely it made me just want to pick one or the other. So since I picked Barbie number 9, I dropped Oppenheimer completely. And I got my points, and I will talk about it now. I will talk about it now. But to be fair, this is the difference, right? Like Barbie was one of those movies that actually made me felt.
That's it. I'm leaving.
Barbie was a movie that actually made me feel something, and I don't mean like gushy, ooh, made me cry, but I think it was just a movie that was like about that like self exploration, and just kind of like that identity crisis that we all kind of go through. And you guys know, like one of my, guess not favorite genres, but it's one of my favorite things about movies is just always kind of this psychological element to like the characters and how they develop. And what better than like a movie that's centered around a toy? And for once, it wasn't like a cool soldier toy or a freaking like wrestler or something, you know, it was like Barbie. And to be surprised, like as a freaking late 30s, like man, that I loved it so much. It was just crazy to me. Like I just remember being in the theater and there were so many things I enjoyed about it. And you know what? It was really fun for me. And I think, like you said, Carlos, the story was really good and it had some like nice little like exploration things. But yeah, no, I had a number 9.
Oh yeah, the only thing I'm gonna say about Barbie is that it just reminded me that Bradley Cooper made that cameo in Dungeons and Dragons, which made it even funnier. Also,
yeah.
But that's as far as I'll say about Barbie. Spoiler, sure.
Yeah.
What's your number 9, Ro?
So my number 9 is probably one that you guys don't even have on your list and might have not even seen. But my number 9 is one that was actually like really, really well acted, and Ben Affleck is the best I've seen him in a movie in a long time. And I chose Air as my number 9 movie.
I saw Air.
Oh,
basic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basic. No, yeah, like I really liked it. I was really intrigued throughout, and honestly, like this kind of show. Well, for me, it kind of shows me like, I guess it reminds me on how Matt Damon can just carry a movie. Because he was awesome in this movie. Him and his like full dad bod self. And then it reminded me of like the things that I like about Ben Affleck. Because it's been a while since I saw like a good Ben Affleck character. That I enjoyed watching, and kind of where his charisma kind of showed through, even though he was being awkward and stuff like that. So I really liked it. Yeah, Carlos.
Did you see the one where him and Ridley Scott with Ben Affleck as the king?
Oh no, the duel.
The duo, that one's actually a really good.
No, I still haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I want to see it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah. No, but yeah, like I really liked it. I was kind of like pulled in the whole time for that movie, which was a little bit more than Barbie for me, which is why I had Air a little bit higher. Because for Barbie, there was like there was a lot that I couldn't relate to. But with Air, it kind of just pulled me in, and I'm kind of a sports fan too, so that helped.
I saw Air and I really enjoyed it. And to your point, like Matt Damon and these movies that he's in, he's always just you can always enjoy his performance, whether it's a cameo, a short role, or he's actually leading the movie. But yeah, I enjoyed Air. It didn't make it on my list because I couldn't tell you if there was like a really Oscar worthy scene in that movie. But I do know the whole movie was really enjoyable. But no, it's a good movie, bro. I like it. You should watch it, Ramon. You would enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's been on my list, but they keep getting lower. There's just other stuff. So. It's not nowhere near my radar right now. But when you mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, but not today though.
For my 9th movie, this is a movie that I could have probably easily dropped off my list, but I decided to keep it, man, because I probably watched this movie 30 times, if not more. And it's a movie that in the beginning, I was a little bit like, this could have been better. But then the more I watched it, the more I paid attention, the more it just kept playing and playing over in my house, the more I just found joy to it. And I understand why in the beginning it was a box office failure, but then later on it actually became a success because long term it had legs. And this movie's Elemental. I really thought Elemental was awesome. I thought Pixar did a wonderful story. People were kind of bored with the story because it was just like your typical like parents migrate and then girl falls in love with the opposite of herself, which is in this case fire and water. That just don't mix. But I thought it was good, man. A movie where in the beginning the water character really annoyed me. Over by the end of the movie, after a couple of rewatch, I really enjoyed it. And clearly, because I have a kid, is the reason why this movie just kept playing, playing, and playing. So maybe I'm just acting out of those 30 times that I watched it. But I will say, out of everything that plays in my house over and over and over, like that was a really movie that I wish would get played even more today. But yeah, Elementals made it to my number 9.
Oh,
You watch that movie, Raul?
I watched half of it, but then my son had to go to bed because he wanted to watch it late, and then he hasn't wanted to finish it, so I haven't seen it.
It looks
like,
great,
what?
man. Yeah.
No wonder you're not reacting, but like for those that can see the video, look at number 8, Elemental.
Well, I don't want to see your whole list.
Oh yeah, I mean you couldn't see anything else. I'm just pointing at the blurry words.
I couldn't see anything because
no,
it was blurry.
See what I mean? But anyways, weirdly enough, yes, Elemental's actually my number 8.
So now we're gonna roll over.
Yeah, we're rolling again. That's so weird.
Let's roll over.
I like it. But no. I mean, I put Elemental up there too because, like you said, I don't know. It wasn't even just a story too. It was that soundtrack, man. I just kept on hearing that soundtrack like for days and days after I watched the movie. And then I think this is one of those movies that I'll still randomly play. Like I like to play again Disney movies while I'm cleaning or like cooking or doing something random because like it's a whole repetitiveness of like fun stories, like this character development, and then some like great like music scores, like great. And this movie, yes, like you said, it had some really fun elements of like I guess you would call it like elementalism, like people being biased against each other for their different elements. And I don't know, like you guys will see on my list, there's a lot of movies that are more led by like the character development and relationships. Cause like I think to me that always makes a good movie, man. Like you can give me a movie with almost no like action going on or nothing in the background, maybe 2 people in just one room, and sometimes it's some of the best things you can watch. And I know there's movies on here that I wanted to watch that would possibly make the list because it made a bunch of people's list, but I didn't get to. Elemental was the closest one that I was like, dude, that was just so heartfelt.
Yeah, in a year where the box office has been great for a lot of movies, like I'm glad. I think the conversation at Elemental is more positive now because of that fact that it just kept making money week after week worldwide. And I think when you do look at the grand total, like it ended up being a success in these. Where in the beginning it was like the worst Pixar movie, like box office wise. So I'm glad it found a success.
We're probably trying to pick, tear like jerking, like the heartstring pulls, bro. And anyways, and it's like I don't know, but I think this is like the first animation movie that we talk about, and I think like that's something that's like a reason why probably people don't give it attention is because it's animation, and people just always so dismiss animation so much. And here we are always talking about it, how like anything that's animation for the most part, it has like can rival to other good movies.
Well, let me talk about my number 8 because it kind of follows the trend of like, people aren't talking about animation. Mine happens to be my number 8 animated movie. And I think it's an animated movie that probably did it better than any other movie this year. A lot of people have it higher on their list, but when there's just so many good movies, it's really hard to elevate this one when it says, I didn't enjoy it as much as the original one. And this is, I'm talking about Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse.
I knew it.
I don't even know what it's called.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse. I have it on number 8. It's a movie that I could tell that the moment that I watched it on Netflix, I wasn't enjoying it as much as I enjoyed it in the movie theater with that experience of having like the colors on the big screen and the music and the sound. And I just don't have that in my TV to hold my attention as much as it did in the movie theater. I did find it a little bit boring. If I don't want to like, anybody to come at me. I just found it a little bit like boring. And to me, the best part about that movie was when you got the scene where he's being chased by all the Spider-Man. And I also doesn't feel like a complete movie to me because of the fact that it's like a part 2 and the way it ends. So maybe once part 3 comes out and I can like put it together, part 3 will be a lot higher. But yeah, for this one, I have to put it on number 8, but still made it a top 10.
I'm offended.
I think I'm starting to get what Raul feels for me not adding Oppenheimer on here.
No, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But yeah, like I think we're in the kind of different spot where we can appreciate animation differently because we do watch anime and we do watch animated things in general. So we appreciate animation a little bit more than other people. I even contemplating having a Attack on Titan on my top 10 because the finale was like 2 hours or I don't remember how long it was, but it's practically a movie. And then I did have a TMNT as an honorable mention too, because just because of the animation style.
Yeah.
Besides, like it was a good movie, but the animation style on its own, just the fact that they're like, I just love the fact that they're being more innovative with animation. Like I'm a huge fan of that. So
yeah. And I mean, I have a lot of great stuff to say about it, but I'll wait for my turn because it's up in the list. And
No,
you guys
no.
already said plenty right now.
No, I'm Raul, go ahead and give us your number 8.
So for my number 8, I had it tied for number 7 for a long time, and then I'll explain once I get to my number 7 why it won out. But for my number 8, I had John Wick Chapter 4.
Okay.
So this movie was awesome. It like so many great scenes, so many great action sequences, so many fighting things. Keanu Reeves is a master at anything. If he's in something, I'll watch it. I don't care what it is. So he was just awesome in this movie. The only reason why it's not higher is just the lack of like story, I guess, and he had maybe like 10 lines the whole movie. But so like it was lacking a little bit in that sense, but the action sequences and the fighting were so awesome that like it made up for pretty much everything else. And just the cinematography and the different angles that they had, everything, and just like so many things, and the ways that they used action for like even comedy too, like in different ways too. It was cool.
No. I mean, I have John Wick on my list, and a lot of things that you said, I agree with it, and I'll probably talk a little bit more when it comes to my turn. But I agree. I mean, that movie belongs on the list. I think for being the fourth entry in a movie, it's probably like maybe might be my favorite one, if not number 2. I still feel like I enjoy number 2 a lot, but I don't know. I don't have that firm ranking yet of my John Wick.
Yeah, those are tough. And actually, funny enough, I do have John Wick as my 7th.
Oh my God.
Not making it up.
No, you're not making this up.
Not making it up. Why?
What's gonna happen? Like this is.
I can send you.
Go for it.
How does
I
the
can-
rollover keep happening?
I don't know. We have different standards. We're right behind each other. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like Raul had it technically one behind me, but in a sense, like I kind of feel the same way too. Like I definitely love the movie. I feel like for an action movie, and then just kind of being the fourth one, it just still kept me like entertained. Like I still didn't feel like it was getting boring or gimmicky. But I do agree with Raul that just the story still could have been more, especially because it was leading more to his like retirement. And I think for that not being a more grandiose story, that's the only thing. Because then even at the end, right, like they're supposed to be making you feel, and spoiler alert, like just don't know what really happened.
Yeah.
And I think this for John Wick and being at the fourth movie, I definitely feel like it could have just been more conclusive. But I don't know. I guess that's where you have the Continental, like the show, and I know they're doing the other one, the ballerina one, right? And so it's like, to me, it's like, oh, it kind of makes sense that now they're like stretching it. But to me, at least for the movie, I really loved it. It was probably one of the more fun movies that I watched this year. But it wasn't any better for that reason. It's just it lacked like, I was like, cool. It's still like really, really great to watch, and it falls in line with like how good all the John Wick movies are. It just wasn't like the best to the other things that I have on my list.
No,
either.
number 7 is a solid spot, man, for an action movie, and a movie like Raul said where John Wick didn't really talk much.
I think part of the reason why it's on our list is because what it does well, it does extremely well to make up for like the things that's kind of lacking. But it does it so well that it's just impossible to ignore like how much you enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. What's your number 7, Raul?
So this is the one that was tied with it, but then the story and the meaning of this movie to me was the reason why it beat it out. So at number 7, I have Blue Beetle.
Okay.
So it the story was more than John Wick, but how much I related to this movie kind of meant a lot to me, and the fact that I could take my son to see Blue Beetle with this superhero, this Jaime Reyes superhero, in a very realistic depiction of like what his family kind of is in some ways. Like honestly, it meant the world to me. And it was a good movie. It had good action sequences. It had some like pretty cool references. It was kind of generic in some ways, but which is why it's not higher in my list. But it, like, I enjoyed the whole thing, and I'm a big DC fan, so I look forward to hopefully having it in the DCU. Now that the DCEU is kind of over with Aquaman, but
No, and Blue Beetle's a movie that I don't have on my list, but the one thing that I will say about it is that, you know, a lot of superhero movies, if you look at how they're doing box office, like they're all like not doing great. Like they're all not making money. People are kind of saying like, oh, it's over. But just the fact that Blue Beetle came in August, the budget was maybe like 100 million, and I think it kind of like they didn't do bad when you compare some of these movies that had a way bigger budget, and people did like the character a lot. And James Gunn has already said that he might continue the same character in his universe. So I think I'm happy if we get more Blue Beetle, man, because I think there's a lot of potential. And I think we compared him, me and you, Ramon, to like Guyver when we were talking about it. Like,
yeah.
he gives it that Guyver vibes. So it's just kind of like, yeah, dude, I like Blue Beetle a lot. I don't have it on my list because it's so tough, but you know, it's an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, and I don't have it on my list either, too. But I'm not surprised you do, and it's a good thing that you do because I've been wanting to talk about this movie since it came out, but Carlos was MIA. And anyways, long story short, like, yeah, I think it's a movie that definitely deserves like some attention because it did depict, at least for us, right? It depicted somewhat the closest like representation of how some of our families are. And I think that's kind of important because in general, like everyone always appreciates seeing that, right? And then it was a superhero movie, so it was just really fun to watch. And I know there's people's different experiences, like people have different experiences. Not everybody has the same upbringing, but I think it's just the general, like, hey, there's more representation, and also not even that, there's more of an insight into the life of the superhero, and not just like, oh, hey, he's Mexican, and that's all you get. And then you're supposed to be like proud of that hero, or you're supposed to be like, oh, I identify. No, because all they said is like he's Mexican, and that's just at the end of the day is this generalization. But I do like what they did. They really immersed you in his family, his like culture, and everything else. Like you said, Raul, was a little generic, and I think that's why I didn't even like include it with mine. But I had a lot of fun. It's still one of the ones that I put on randomly just to watch some Blue Beetle farts.
Yeah, yeah. No, that transformation scene was really really cool, man, and I think it was well done movie. So I want to see more with the same director, just bigger budget, I guess, but tighter. I don't know, tighter story maybe, but no, good movie. For my number 7, it's a movie that as soon as me and Ramon saw it in the movie theater, he's like, we gotta make an episode about this one because he enjoyed it a lot, and I clearly enjoyed it a lot. It could have been higher on my list, but number 7 still a good spot. When Evil Lurks, you got it right. When Evil Lurks is stays on my number 7. It stays on my top 10 because it was a great movie, man. And it's not the only foreign movie I have on my list, but that movie, I think a lot of people should see it. People that will discover in the future. I got a feeling I'm gonna be like, dude, have you seen When Evil Lurks? I think it's a movie that's gonna stay in the conversation, especially amongst the horror fans. And I still think this could be a great movie if the U.S. decided to remake it, just to be able to like capitalize on the storytellings that they were doing in that movie, because that movie to me has like a franchise potential if it's done right. And I want to see more of it. But yeah, When Evil Lurks made it to my list as my number 7.
I like that one for you. I love that movie.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Anything to say about it?
No arguments. I have no arguments against it.
Yeah,
and in not too long you'll understand why.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can't wait to hear how it's Ramon's number 6.
No, not this time, because again, I think Raul, maybe he's kind of right there with me. Like, I don't know, I definitely love the movie a lot, so I'll bring it up a little bit later. No, sadly, but my number
I will too.
Yeah, but my number 6 is actually goes hand in hand with that movie. It's Talk to Me. So Talk to Me, and this year we're doing. I did see it. We're doing something a little different for you guys that are listening, and we're taking some suggestions from you listeners. And we're in Discord, and we're a couple other places, but on Discord we started asking the question already. And this is probably the second suggestion we got from one of my buddies.
It came out this year?
It came out this year,
It
yeah.
came out in July.
JD brought up, talked to me. It's one of those movies that when it was coming out, I wanted to see it. But you know how it is. Again, we talked about this during October. It's so difficult to watch all the freaking horror movies, all those things. Like just like anything else, like you got to prioritize. And to me, for as much of good things as I heard about it, I just kind of kept on dismissing it. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of those other like jump scare ones, or it's gonna be like just like freaking what's it called, possessions or something. Like it just to me, it seemed very basic. Right. But then because JD brought it up again, and I'm like, I need something else to watch. Let me watch it. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you that it shocked me, right? Because number one, it is not like a one story movie. It's layered. And I think that always makes a horror movie and like a horror thriller. Like like an onion, like stinky, like stinky layers. But no, like for real though, like it's like layered, so it gives you more than just like what's like paranormal about it. But one, the paranormal thing is really twisted. Like the twist with the paranormal is beautiful, and I felt like I was watching an episode of That 70s Show for like a couple scenes. And when you guys watch it, and hopefully we will do an episode on it, you guys will understand. And what put it up there for me, because 6 is getting pretty close to top 5, right? Is that towards the end, I think it's just in general. It's one of the movies that's probably like made me at least understand death more than any other movie that I've seen. And that's weird to say. And I can't spoil it. Or I can't even tell you like what it refers to, but it's just a part in the movie where it makes you feel like you're experiencing death. And it actually kind of achieved it in my head for a second. And it was a little high, but other than that, like it did kind of trigger something in me that I kind of went into panic mode, and I'm like, holy crap, like that just felt weird, like So, anyways, I definitely recommend it. I hope we do an episode on it because it's so worthy. I think if you guys would have watched it, it probably might have squeaked in there, or at least like 10, or maybe like 10 and a half. It's an interesting movie, and I had a lot of fun watching, and I think that's really important for this list. I had a blast.
No, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be like our second movie that we talk about it when we reach the new year. So I definitely do want to do it. So I'll be watching. We'll be talking about it pretty soon.
All right, is it my turn?
Ro, what's your number 6?
All right. So my number 6. So I think going forward, all of these movies, like I really have nothing bad to say about any of the ones going forward. So my number 6 is actually The Creator. So I saw that one because of you guys. And honestly, like I really enjoyed it. I thought it, like, the story was phenomenal. I think that's my favorite part about this movie. The story, the setting, and then like anything with John David Washington, I love. I think he's brilliant. I think he completely like got the gift from his dad, but he from Ballers to Black Klansman to Tenet to like everything I've seen him in, I've loved him. I think he's brilliant. I think he's gonna win Oscars, plural. But yeah, he carries this movie. He does so well. He has so much feeling and everything. And then the kid was so good. And then like the story, like completely like made sense, and everything just was just right. And it looked cool too. So and I was pulled in, and I cared about the characters, which is hard to do in one movie, like in a setting, which is kind of one of the issues that I had in Barbie a little bit. That's hard to care enough about all the characters, but yeah, like I this one was top notch. And the rest of my rankings are more on like taste and other things besides the quality of the movie, in my opinion.
Well, I think this is the first time that I get to match with one of you, because The Creator is actually my number 6 movie as well, Raul. This is a movie that the first time I saw the trailer back in May, I was in Mexico. And when I saw the trailer, I sent it to Ramon. So I'm like, dude, this movie looks great. I actually had high expectations.
Why just Ramon?
I'm kidding. I don't know why just Ramon. But this is a movie that I had high expectations.
Don't get jealous.
I had high expectations for it. For some reason, even though people talked about it in a positive way, people weren't really too positive on as far as the critics, because they all kept comparing the story beats to story beats that have been done in the past. But I asked this question: if this is the first time like a 15, 20-year-old person seeing this movie and they haven't seen any of these other movies that it's supposed to take inspiration from, that wouldn't it make this movie original to that person? Because to me, that's what people were
Yes.
kind of like saying about it, like, oh, this is not original because this movie did that and this other movie did that. And it's like, to them, I say, like, dude, this movie's great. It looks awesome. The budget was under 100. I think it was well done. I love the fact that there's almost like no green screen. Everything's like being shot. He did it as he supposedly filmed a lot of this using a Sony camera that you can buy at Best Buy. Edward, I forget the name of the director's name, but Edward, he did Godzilla, the first one, and then he did Star Wars Rogue One, which is awesome. So I just, again, I really like this movie. I remember crying when I saw it at a specific scene. And I haven't rewatched it now that it's available on Hulu, but I'm glad that, Raul, you have it on your number 6 because I wasn't sure if anybody would have it on their top 10.
No, but
No,
I
yeah.
do.
No, with that movie, I actually started lower because I knew that I liked it, but then like I was comparing it to the movies, and then like some movies that didn't end up making my list. Like I remember bits and pieces, but like this one I've like never forgotten. Like this movie kind of like made an impact on me, and I just know it. Like you tell me a creator, I can say what movie it is and who's in it and what happens throughout. So that's the reason why it made my top 6.
Not me, but I loved it. No, but like, Carlos, to your point, like I do think that it's like a huge disservice to movies because I think that's exactly what happened to Rebel Moon, where everybody's comparing it to like Star Wars and all these other inspirations, and it's like I just rewatched it right before recording this, so that I hope that it would have made my top 10, and I was kept on thinking about it. And then at the end of the day, it wasn't even about that, but it was just the idea that I'm like, I really enjoyed it. I want to see these characters development. I want to see what else happens in this because clearly the first part was more about like building the story, right? So no, like crap is not going to be that great. But in general, the creator to me, regardless of everything that people said about it, like I've been wanting to watch it since it came out. I just didn't get the opportunity like you to watch it in the theaters. But actually, it made it into my top 5 as the number 5 movie.
Oh my god!
one level more in love. No, yeah. No, it was my top 5, and it's funny because it started higher. I think it started as top 3. But I think just when we keep going through my other movies, you'll see like kind of it was very difficult to decide. But ended up at top 5, and I think part of it is just still that at the end of the day, I feel like there's definitely could have been something else to make it even way better, but I loved everything about it. Like I was in love with the story. Like sci-fi in general is one of my favorite like genres for real, and this is me that I watch like everything. Sometimes like we just put myself like me in front of like a near future. AI not so much, but I just love the idea of AI in this movie because obviously it plays the whole movie. It's all about that. But I think you just put those concepts of just like a near future, and most importantly, again, the human connection. And even though it was very like AI versus humans and humans versus AIs, it was about like us now in this world and kind of like loving each other and learning how to like coexist. And I think just any movie that hits that point and it does it in a surreal way where it's just kind of like clearly it's just fantasy, but like you identify and you get it and you're like, oh man, I want to be best friends with that AI guy. Like what did he do to me? Nothing, right? And then as you start like uncovering more about the story, like it's beautiful. And I think yes, of course, once it hits like that like third act and towards the end, you really just put yourself in a whole different world. So no longer are you just a visitor in this sci-fi world, like you're one of them and you're going through this journey. And I felt like the third child, like, or the second child, I guess, being dragged on by him and just kind of being saved in this movie. Like I loved it. It was good. Like I said, I had to knock it down, but it's still one of my favorites.
No, dude, in a world where right now we're talking about AI a lot, for me, the hopes is that in 100, 200 years where AI is more common, this is the way it develops in a way where somebody can fall in love with an AI. Somebody where like AI will be crying when you pass away or something sad happens. And I just really like touched me because I did believe that these characters or these, computers or, again, artificial intelligence people could live in this world and all they want to do is just exist with us. And when you realize that they weren't even the ones responsible for what they're being blamed for, it's kind of like sucks because you feel like that is the way things are going to go down. Like they potentially could be blamed for something that it wasn't even their fault, but they could be easily an scapegoat. So it's just, I don't know what the future's going to hold. We're probably going to be way long before that becomes a reality. But yeah, it's a good movie that I enjoyed a lot. So I'm glad that it made it to you guys' list.
Hell yeah.
What's your top 5? Or what's your number 5?
Oh, you want me to
Carlos.
go? Yeah, okay. For my number
Go for it.
5, okay. Whew, this movie was awesome. Was a lot of fun. I want to say that sucks that we're never gonna get to see these group of people probably together again with this director. But Guardians of the Galaxy,
Ah,
Guardians of the
yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy was my number 5 because it was just so much fun. It was a movie that probably could have came out a lot sooner, but obviously there was some controversy that pushed it to be this late in the game. And even though people had story with like the Gamora part of it, I don't care, man. This movie, like, the sets were awesome, the characters were awesome, the music was great. Rocket Raccoon was like, his story was really a story that made me sad. It's just I think Bradley Cooper did an awesome job playing the voice of Rocket Raccoon throughout the whole movie, the whole franchise. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna be my number 5 because it was just like the way I wish Marvel would have been making movies for the past 3 years. Guardians of the Galaxy was that hope of like hopefully one day they'll regain that formula again to bring some
Dude.
of these characters to be this good. What?
It's funny because so Guardians 3 was actually my number 10 movie, but then I you guys reminded me that about Barbie or something, and I was like I completely forgot to even like consider it. So then I bumped Guardians to put Barbie in there.
Aw, sad.
But like yeah, like
Wow.
I
Somewhere
really
in the
enjoyed it.
galaxy, one of Rocket Raccoon's friends just died.
So I'll tell you this, like
ugly one.
with Guardians, if I could put Guardians in general, it would make the list. But like the third movie, I think it's the overall, it's my least favorite of the 3,
Okay.
except for the rocket part. I think Bradley Cooper all throughout the series has been amazing. I've loved Rocket. I loved Bradley Cooper's depiction of him. He has so much feeling in his voice and all that stuff. And James Gunn kills it. He makes great stories. There was a lot of other stuff around it that were like, that dropped it down a little bit more for me. But because I can say that I enjoyed the first and second one more than this one. But I did like it. It just I just couldn't fit all of my movies, so it was also on my honorable mentions,
Okay.
along with the other
No,
3 honorable mentions.
no, not a problem. And I think some of it's hard ranking the Guardians movie because even I have a lot of love for the second one, and I know people don't really talk too much about the second one, but I like the second one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Are we at
Uh,
4? Or
I think
Raul?
no, Raul's turn to the number 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so one that's already been mentioned, but I have a different appreciation for it than you guys. I know for a fact is I actually have at number 5. I have D&D Honor Among Thieves. So
I was wondering
so
where it
like
was hiding.
yeah, so this movie for me, as an avid D&D player, like it depicted a D&D session / campaign perfectly. Like I could tell you exactly when like the different rolls happened. Like I can tell you when they rolled when they rolled high, when they rolled low, when they were trying to like when Chris Pine was trying to like cut the rope, he was obviously rolling really low because he couldn't cut the rope, and like stuff like that throughout the whole movie. And then like recognizing different classes and races and different spells and all that stuff. Like as a D&D nerd, like I loved it. But then like the fact that it was actually like it was a funny movie. Like it's probably this year it's been the funniest movie I've seen. And where like I just laughed. Like I enjoyed the whole movie. It looked great. Like even the magic, it's hard to make magic look good, but it looked great. The different characters had their thing. Chris Pine is awesome. He has so much charisma. Like I even liked him in Wonder Woman, and that had a lot of issues. But or 1984 one. But yeah, like I really enjoyed it, and I'm just glad that other people enjoyed it too, because like it did well enough. I wish it would have done better, but
No,
I liked
dude,
it.
everybody expected Dungeons and Dragons the movie to be terrible, and when not only was it terrible, not only wasn't like good, it was great. And like I don't know, I think the jokes, to your point, were really really funny. I think the action pieces were really good, like really good done, especially that scene when that one girl that can transform is like transforming because she's escaping the
Yeah,
castle.
the druid.
Oh, the
I thought
druid,
that was
yeah.
really cool, man. I wish I
Yeah,
would have
all
seen
the
that
animals.
in the
Yeah.
movie theater. So I don't know, man. I forget who directed that movie. I think it was the people that did Game Night, which was a previous like another comedy movie. I haven't seen it with Rachel Adams. And that was also
Yeah.
really really well done. But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, man. That one's I don't disagree with you.
Number
Yeah.
4. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that was number 5, right,
number
for you?
5. Yeah.
All right, my number 4
Yeah, but
was
as number
Guardians.
4.
No, Guardians. I already told you it's not on my list.
Guardians.
okay.
Guardians.
Oh my
Guardians.
Of course you would.
Yes, but I love that movie, and it was actually also kind of in a tie for 3 at one point because, again, this is where we're talking about like our individual like favorite movies of the year, right? It's not like everybody else's list. And yeah, to you guys' point, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is, as in general, like it's probably the one like group of individuals in the MCU that I love the most, and it's probably some of my favorite movies, just because like especially all together, they're just fun freaking movies that even though they still show up in these other ones, like they're just they're kind of their own thing, and they're so goofy and that dysfunctional family. Well, this movie really hit home because Rocket's always been my favorite character out of the Guardians, like at least in the movies. Probably in the comics too, but in the movies it was just again, what other character could you not relate to the most, in the sense of like he definitely took on that second in command, almost a captain, and eventually the captain, right? And I think it was just that
According
like
to him, the captain.
well, according to him, the captain, but and then the end, he kind of ended up being the captain, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's just like I don't know, man. Like I loved him, and I think it was an unnecessarily sad story to tell, but it's like they told it, so I had to like cry and just really get like really connected to the story. And yeah, I mean, it sucked when you really think about it that you're like, man, I didn't really see a whole lot of Rocket, even though I just saw a whole lot of Rocket, right? So it sucks
Yeah.
by the time you actually have Rocket wake up and start doing his like crazy stuff. Yeah, like the overall story and the whole thing with the whole what is it called, what's his name? I want to almost call him the creator.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Oh
about.
yes. Anyways, the bad guy. Right now, I'm totally spacing, but yeah, absolutely. And a high evolutionary.
Yeah.
And then not the best story, but I think for Rocket, it was like the best story to be told because it was his story. And I think as long as you connected it, you treated it like a couple comic issues, I think it really made sense. And to me, again, still super attached. I'm really sad to see that like little group of individuals go, and I even hate that there's even a teaser for like the potential Guardians of the Galaxy in the future, but in reality you're like, nah, not never gonna be the same. So but now, yeah, I was really emotional with that movie. It was good. Loved it.
That's the one thing that kind of sucks about like you have to continue the franchise and these characters can't really pass away because we need them for later movies. But I think if James Gunn would have if Marvel would have said like do whatever you want with these characters, which I think clearly they told him like no, you cannot kill off these people or this person. I think these people, when you do look at it, you can see hints, man, where some of these folks were meant to die in this movie, whether that was
Drax
Peter
and Mantis.
Quill, Drax, Mantis. I don't know who, but I think people were meant to die. But clearly, I think Marvel stepped in and like, hey, you can't just kill off like Drax. We need him for Avengers. But yeah, man, I think this movie is really good. That's why I think it's on my number 5. Number 4 is a great spot too for it. And sucks, man. I don't know what the next Guardians is gonna look like, but I don't envy the person that's gonna have to take over the reins from James Gunn.
No, it just makes you nervous. But I mean, for being like kind of the death of this was kind of like super emotional. But no, I mean, I think like I said, still fun movie overall. Super fun movie.
Cool. Ro, do you want to do your number 4?
Sure. So this one has also already been mentioned. It's another movie that I watched because of you guys, and I'm so thankful that you guys like had me watch this.
Have good taste.
I loved this movie when Evil Lurks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I think the story was awesome. I thought it was well acted. It had so many like shocking moments. And then, like with scary movies, you have like those movies that just kind of have like a bunch of jump scares or whatever, and they're like generic scary movies. But this is like terrifying in so many ways and so disturbing at times too. And then the fact that it was like Argentinian, so it wasn't even like American. It had so many different things that you wouldn't see in a movie made in the U.S. Like the thing with the dog. And then the so many other scenes, and then like with the mom, and when she was eating, and so many there's so many moments, there's so many shocking moments, and so many like terrifying moments, and the way they build up suspense, and then the tiny little like moments too that they had, and then the fact that it was also in this world, and then the combination of like Contagion, Supernatural, and it was just like it was shocking. It was so impactful, and it's impossible to forget this type of movies. So
Yeah,
that's why
bro. I
it's
love
my
that you
number
love
4.
this movie so much. You're so excited to talk about it. Like, it's
No,
great.
Yeah.
I should have gone first because it's probably gonna be Ramon's number 3. But yeah, dude, when Evil Lurks, man, it's an awesome movie. So
Yeah.
I already had it on my list. I had to.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to because it truly was like a great experience,
Yeah.
not only in the movie theater, but I think even watching it at home.
Yeah, and for a
Yeah.
horror movie, like I'm even surprised I had it this high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my number 4, it's a movie that we also kind of already talked about. I don't know how much I'll say about it, but it's John Wick. I think when we were talking about top 10 movies of the year back in November, I was thinking about putting this one as my number 1, just based on the fact that when I saw it, which I saw this movie with all 3 of you and my wife. Oh, sorry, all 2 of you and my wife. I really enjoyed it, man. I really thought in the beginning it was started a little bit like slow. They didn't know what to expect, but as the movie just kept going and it just became like the locations, the way people are dressed, the music, all the stunt people, like the work that they did, it's freaking crazy. That stair scene where it's just like I couldn't believe. I remember being there with you guys, and I just couldn't believe that he was falling off all those
Oh,
damn
goodness.
stairs in the movie. And then let's not forget the dragon spread. I really thought that scene
Mhm.
itself can hold up, holds up really well. If you were to just go on YouTube and type Dragon Scene 4K John Wick, you could probably see it and find some great enjoyment from watching it.
I
But yeah,
lost him.
John Wick made it to my number 4.
Same. Yeah, I mean, but so yeah, John Wick for sure was one of those movies. So I mean, I don't know if it was higher up for you guys, but definitely still one of my better movies too in there. But I don't know. Number 3 was actually Across the Spider-Verse for me. Another movie that I kind of just couldn't decide where to put it. And honestly, like I feel like it could have been not worse, but I feel like it could have been higher. And the only reason why I didn't pick it to be higher is because it was still part 1 of 2. And that also ruined the movie. Not ruined the movie for me, but also kind of ruined the overall experience for it because yes, we're talking about individual movies here, and you can't even talk about a complete story without the second part to this movie that we yet haven't seen. So it's like even if you were trying to go on to story alone, you can't finish it as far as like the second half because you really don't know what happens. Do I believe they're gonna drop the ball? No. So I'm still gonna stick to the fact that
No.
it's my number 3. I think one of the reasons why I kept on wanting it like super high up for me was just because the animation, obviously, right? That makes the most sense to me. Like the different styles of animation that they use, but more importantly, just what they did with, well, specifically the Gwen Stacy story in the very beginning that Raul forgot about when we were talking about the episode was like some of my favorite thing I've ever seen in any movie, any animated movie ever. Like just the level of like connection and synergy between like the story and then the colors and like every single frame. It was beautiful. Like as they were talking, as like Gwen and her dad were having this conversation, like the shift in colors, like the way that the colors like change to kind of just talk about like the mood and the feeling, the whole dynamic. Like I was just like in awe of just how beautiful it was because again, I tell you, like things that I love the most are things that make you feel, things that like you enjoy. Like most of these movies on the top list for me are just pure enjoyment and things that like make me excited. This movie, I remember watching it and just being like amazed that people took this long and who knows under what conditions, but that they took this long to make this movie because it was truly beautiful. And for those people that kind of don't appreciate the artist enough, like this movie is freaking couldn't been done without these like animators, and it was freaking beautiful. Like the animation alone, scenes like the freaking Renaissance like Vulture, like the freaking Spider Punk, like so many things about it. And then obviously the chasing with all the Spider-Man, but like this idea of the animation styles and kind of mixed with the story, like just the way that they interweaved it, so good. And then considering that Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my favorite movies, this one goes hand in hand with that because I feel like this movie is the closest to it in a sense where like all these multiverses like this movie talked about the multiverse in a way that actually like made it fun, that it made it kind of like exciting to kind of be part of, instead of just being like, oh, another freaking variant or another like multiverse crap, like so I don't know, it was just such a beautiful movie to me, but mostly just for the visuals, like on top of the story, and then the crazy like ending, the way that they stopped, and you're just like, what the heck, like that whole thing. I mean, a whole lot of stuff about the movie.
Dude, I completely agree, and I haven't talked about it yet because it's even higher on my list. But it's the use of color, the use of different animation styles, the use of frame rates, all of that stuff. I thought was brilliant. I think Lord and Miller are brilliant directors, and they deserve all the kudos in the world for being such an awesome movie.
No, man, definitely. I wish that movie had made it a little bit higher on my ranking, but it's a great movie. I mean, it's there because it was like a big success this year. I think it was one of the best successful movies of the year. But yeah, Spider-Verse, man. I mean, I already said my piece with it, but yeah, it was that spider chasing scene, still one of the best scenes I've seen. I think this year, or in a movie, in an animated movie for sure.
Yep.
All right. I guess I'll talk about my number 3. So for me is another one that I saw because of you guys. So some of the best movies I saw this year were because of you guys. So thank you. I appreciate your impact on my life besides your friendship and all that stuff. For this one is Godzilla -1. I have it at number 3. I can't believe this type of movie can make me feel so much, and even more than the creator. Like, I just got so attached to this character and just following his arc, and then just the fact of like this is what this type of movie should be, and just the fact of that, and then the fact of like that they created this Godzilla that looked pretty good, even for the budget, and they had this story, like this great important story in this world, of from this perspective, and kind of done the right way. I loved it, and then just I don't think I've been this attached to another character in any movie in my top 10 or close to my top 10 than the main character in this one, that I wanted him to succeed, and they succeeded in making me care about him. I don't know. I don't know his name, but I'm glad that he's okay. And
no, I only say that because I was rehearing our Godzilla -1 review that we did, and even in that review, you were like, I don't know any other names.
I don't know anything. I just know there's the one Godzilla guy, and then all the other little people.
Godzilla's on my list. I think at this point it's gonna be we might have some of the same ones. I don't know still, but yeah, Godzilla's on my list a little bit higher. But so I want to talk about it when it's when I say my review of where it lands on my ranking. But yeah, man, Godzilla was an awesome movie to go see in the movie theater, especially because what could you expect of a Godzilla movie, man? Because there's a bunch of them. So obviously it was a big surprise of 2023, as I said on our review.
I'm sad I saw it alone, but great experience.
I was on vacation.
I wanted to be holding hands to a couple people, but like, this is such a good movie.
I saw it with Jose.
Did you guys hold hands and you cried a little?
We ate popcorn though.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute.
Did you put a hole underneath the popcorn?
Cochino.
No hole needed.
What?
Oh man. For my number 3, it's a movie that Ro, you were pushing us to go see this movie this whole damn year. I knew I would see it, so like I didn't need you to push me. It's just the fact that I didn't go see it in the movie theater. It wasn't really available for me to rent till finally Ramon told me like, oh, you can rent it. but I watched Oppenheimer.
Finally.
I didn't want to buy it for $35-$40 or whatever it was selling for, which is ridiculous for a guy that supports physical media. I'm like, I'll wait for the $10-$15 mark. But I saw Oppenheimer, man, and I loved every single second of this movie. For a movie that is all dialogue based, it's all retelling the story of how like the creator of the atomic bomb. It was really awesome. It was I think this movie come Oscar season, it's gonna clean up. Like for sure, Robert Downey Jr. is gonna get the best supporting Oscar for his role in this movie. I think Cillian Murphy is probably gonna win his first Oscar for this movie. I think this movie was awesome. I really appreciated all the characters, man. Matt Damon, his wife, what's her name? Cillian Murphy's wife in that movie. Oh my god, it's like in top of my head, but it's freaking Jim
John
from The Office.
Krasinski's wife.
Yeah, it's Jim from The Office, his wife. Like her performance was freaking great, and then especially that scene
Emily
where
Blunt.
Emily Blunt, especially that scene where she's imagining that her husband's like doing his side chick. So it's just kind of like, dude, that
Florence Pugh.
when people are saying on Twitter, are sex scenes really necessary? Like, yes, they are truly
They
necessary
are.
because that scene was definitely very impactful as you're watching this movie. But this movie could have been 4 hours long, and I would have enjoyed the hell out of it. So yeah, Oppenheimer is my number 3.
Oh no, man.
And with that said, I'll jump into my number 2 movie because I have Oppenheimer as my number 2 movie.
Nice. Someone else besides me. Let's go.
I know, but like I
Wait, so what's your number
loved
1?
I loved this movie. I thought it was brilliant. I think Cillian Murphy murdered it, and then just the fact that like this is really the first time that they've depicted such an impactful moment in time, because like World War II is big, so you have the Saving Private Ryan and other war movies, but you never have this end of it where you have these scientists talking about this stuff. And I'm a science nerd too, on top of all the other nerdiness that I have. So just having somebody talking about quantum physics, and then kind of the beginning of it, and then you have like Heisenberg, you have like all these major people in the history of physics and quantum physics, and then trying to create this bomb, and you have Einstein even, obviously, and then just the moment when they're talking about that they discovered that there's a non-zero chance that the whole world could explode. and that whole thing about this, and then just the how grand this moment is, and it looked amazing. Like it looked awesome. The different like shots that they had. I thought Florence Pugh, like all the communists, the settings of it. I thought Robert Downey Jr. was awesome. Like he wasn't in everything, but like in everything that he was in, like he was awesome. Like after seeing him so many years as Iron Man, seeing him in a like unlikable role, like it shows you like how good of an actor he is. And Cillian, like if I ever picture Oppenheimer, like the guy, I'm gonna picture Cillian Murphy.
Dude, give that character,
even without the zombies.
Give that character the most pity character award of all time.
I know.
Robert Downey Jr. character.
Yeah.
The congressman, or trying to be a congressman.
Senator. Yeah.
Senator, whatever he was.
I mean,
yeah, dude, and then just sorry, I can
No,
talk
like,
about this movie
go
forever.
ahead,
I'll
go
talk
ahead.
for like a couple seconds.
We
So-
probably won't talk about it again, but yeah, like that scene
That's
where he's just
dope.
like, what did he
Yeah.
talk to him about? And he's thinking that they talked about him, but it's like, dude, it had nothing to
that
do
was
with you.
that was
Oh,
one
yeah,
of my
yeah, with
favorite
Einstein,
things.
yeah.
Absolutely,
Dude,
yeah. I don't know. I mean, sorry. Go ahead, Raul, because we got
Yeah.
positive
No,
things
yeah.
to finish off on.
And then like Cillian Murphy, like I don't know how much better anyone can depict the weight and the impact of dropping an atom bomb is on a person than the person that kind of ran the program that created it. Because Cillian Murphy just killed it, and like I felt it. Like I felt like the weight of creating this world destroying thing, like felt on Oppenheimer, and then which is why he became like so big on like stopping the use of it, for stopping war altogether, and like I feel empathy for him, and as if he was really trying to like end all wars by creating this bomb.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I mean,
the bomb part was like probably the most disappointing part of the movie, though.
No. No, I mean, I obviously love the movie, and I guess I wouldn't say like loved it, but I think it was definitely a good movie, and I see what everybody was really about. scenes that like freaking I love. That's like the scene when he gives the speech after they, they're successful, and it's just like everything's kind of like a roaring like background noise to him because he is like so turmoil with just like how significant like all this is to the world, and just the whole idea, like you said, when he's talking to Albert Einstein, the whole thing about like the significance of this to the world. But I think for me personally, like there's something about like movies set in history that they do something for me, and they're great because they're acted well, they have great actors, but in the end of the day, like it's a story that to me is more sad to reflect on the current history than like kind of what this movie was talking about was going to happen, because clearly we're living that shit, right? No one's kind of using nuclear power right now, but there's always the threat of nuclear power like being used, and just the whole idea. So anyways, like for that reason, like I kind of gravitated more towards movies like The Creator, and just these movies that are a little bit more grandiose and like kind of how they make you feel about like the world and population and people and like our existence. Which is why I even gave Rebel Moon a chance, because I love the idea of just being like so far in the future we already fucked ourselves up. But I think that's the best part about Oppenheimer, is definitely feeling the fear for the future. But then I'm like, but we're living the future, and this is kind of like, like I don't know. So yeah, to me, it just not felt short. I think for me, it didn't make my list because I think it did go hand in hand with Barbie, and I think it was more funny to make a decision between the two because it really, at that time, that's what everybody was speaking about. And I think Barbie for me just made me like feel something inside that was more exploration based and being like, oh, cool, like we all want to be free from society, not like, oh shit, we just fucking doomed ourselves. But it was a great story, great acting, all that great. It just didn't make it on my list, but I did enjoy it a lot.
I think also the fun part about Oppenheimer was seeing all the cameos. Dude. Like, dude,
Oh,
everybody that could have been in this movie was in this movie. When I saw Casey Affleck's character pop up, I wish I could have gotten more of him, especially how his real self probably is, because of the way Matt Damon was describing him. Like, this guy literally has drowned people with his bare hands. But yeah, dude, I wish I could have gotten more of Casey Affleck, and yeah, the whole cast, man. It's I feel like next Christopher Nolan movie, whatever the guy decides to do, like anybody is gonna want to be in that movie, man, because his movies clearly people want to see. You can give him a budget of $100 million, and he'll deliver. He'll put out gold bricks, yeah, gold bricks of movies.
Beauty,
like Tenet.
Tenet. We'll talk about Tenet in next week.
Okay. What's your number two, guys?
So for my number two, that's gonna be. Oh no, it's Ramon. Your turn, right?
Yeah, so number two though. When Evil Lurks was for me. And When Evil Lurks ended up so high for me because I love, like I guess it's still not a scary movie to me in a sense, but I love movies that make you, again, feel stuff emotionally, but then I also love movies that fucking have you like sweating a little bit, right? That give you a little bit of anxiety, that really kind of put you on the edge. And I think this movie was definitely like that for me. Like, I know, again, me and Carlos went to see it, and I went into it not even knowing what movie we were watching. And I think the fact, maybe it was a mystery, but just the fact that I was watching this movie and every bit of it, as soon as it starts with that gunshot in the forest, I was like hooked. I wanted to know more. I was in the world. Like you guys mentioned it already. It puts you into this world that already exists, that as you kind of explore it, you're like, wait, what? There's like professional exorcists in this world. Like there's possessions are a normal thing. Like, so like just the whole being like grabbed and pulled into this world, and then you start discovering these really weird twisted things, and then just again the whole idea of how the possession travels, the idea of the shock that they use. Like shock value is great, man. Like if you're really gonna make people like want to watch a movie, like shock value is a good way to do it, but not in a way where it's just like, slasher or like, freaking scare attack, like jump scares and stuff like that. This movie just made you tense and made you want to be curious, and it made you want to really like know what's next. And I think even, like I said, after watching it like 3 times, it's still like on the second, third time, like there was even more that you kind of like looked at, and you're like, oh man. But even just like the way they looked at each other in that moment, like, I don't know, it was just such a beautiful movie with such minimal like acting, because most of it was just like a few actors that did it, minus the kids and then all that ghostly stuff. But I just love the whole relationship between the brothers, and just like kind of that whole idea of like the I guess fearful dad and he's so fearful for his family that he doesn't even give a frick that he's cursing this whole town and this whole area. And I don't know, man. It's just like I think even the ending, for as like messed up as it was, and then just the reality of like this manifestation coming true into a physical form and then walking away. And again, I'm not telling you what it is, but it's like that's chilling. Like that makes you think, like Carlos said, like you can expand on that world, and it would be beautiful to see. But I think just the movie for what it was, just to me, it was a ride. It was definitely one of my favorite ones to tell people about, and one of my most fun to hear people talk about once they actually watched it.
Yeah,
So-
dude, franchise for sure, man. And where we're getting a lot of Terrifier sequels, let's get more Evil Lurks.
Yeah, some subtle like person to animal to person violence.
Yeah.
No, it's like, so for my number second, that's gonna be a movie that, you know, Ramon, again, when you told me you're gonna cry in Godzilla -1, right before I went to go see it, I was confused, man, because I knew this movie was gonna be great, but I expected it to be great because of the Godzilla part of it, not because of the human part of it. And then the human part of it was freaking awesome. And then this idea of like this woman that loved this man and all she wanted was for him to like acknowledge her and say, I want to be with you. I want to marry you. I want to race this girl. And he couldn't do it. And then Godzilla comes and like, spoiler. No spoiler. Go hear our Godzilla -1 review because we just recorded on it last week. But yeah, dude, Godzilla -1 is like, I think it's the surprise hit for everybody of 2023. I think everybody should see this movie because, especially if you're a director or filmmaker, it's just like, dude, how did these people make this movie? Especially with a franchise that's just been, you know, going on for the past. Is it almost like 70? I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you when the first Godzilla came out, but it's been going on for so long.
Years.
Must have been the 20s or 30s, no?
Oh my god! And for them to like, I know that's why.
Oh
I
no,
almost
no,
wanna say-
it must have been the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, it's a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
I'm an
yeah,
idiot.
but like this idea of like, you know, you can reinvent this character and do it with such a low budget and just have people talking about it and it's still making money and it's just such a hit, man. Godzilla -1 came close to being my number one movie of the year, but yeah, to me, I freaking loved it, man. I can't praise that movie enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of like this movie shows you how like it doesn't matter whether it's like if it's been done before or if it's like intellectual property or whatever. Like all that
Mhm.
matters is that you have a good story with good acting and good. If you make a good movie, it doesn't matter what it's about. People are gonna watch it, people are gonna enjoy it, and then people are gonna love it.
Yeah, man, that's freaking crazy. But all right, man, I think this is the moment everybody's been waiting for. We're gonna
Wait,
get
Raul
to-
do number 2?
No, yeah, he did number 2.
Yeah, Oppenheimer was number 2.
Oh, that makes sense. I was so surprised that was the
Because
number.
he
your
even said,
number
"What's
one.
his number one?" Now.
Yeah, because now I'm a little confused, but I'm sure I'm missing something.
All right, so
Huh.
let's do what the
You
number
are.
one movies for us are.
I
Who
can
wants to
go
go first?
first.
You can go first, Ramon.
Because it's Godzilla -1.
Are you rolling it again? Dude, there's no way this could have happened.
Dude, I swear, Ramon is like right in between you and me, Carlos.
Yep.
Like
Oh my
if
God.
you and me had a baby, it would be Ramon.
Ooh. He has to make an ugly baby.
But a cool
No,
one.
I made a cool one. Aw, thank you. But anyways,
welcome.
that is weird because it is, because obviously where else did Godzilla go? It's my number one, man. It's my number one movie because I think it was the best experience that I had all year. And I think part of it is just because, I went to the theater. Not because I was alone in the theater, but I mean, there was 4 other individual dudes all sitting in there too. But I don't know, there was something to be in that movie theater by myself with this, like, again, loud and big screen. And I don't know, like, I just really immersed myself in the movie. And I think, like we mentioned already, it's just like it had an amazing story. And I think that's what it was. It's just really so unexpected. And then it's like it didn't even give you an opportunity to really like know what you were into because right away you were part of the story. Like right away they made you relate to the main character and like the whole cowardice and not knowing whether you agree or don't agree. And like, I don't know, just the amount of conflict the movie puts on you right away. It's so crazy. And then to remember that, oh, like, yeah, I'm still watching a Godzilla movie. So the next second that Godzilla shows up, like, yeah, Godzilla. And it's just like, like and again, I've been watching Godzilla since I was like a little kid, and I guess it was 1954, Carlos. I looked it up, like the first Godzilla movie. And you're right, like I remember watching the old guys. I don't know if they were those, but I remember watching Godzilla movies all growing up, and I think the range of what Godzilla meant to me was always so crazy because there was times where I thought he lived in the moon because of a movie where like he gets encapsulated in a bubble and he just kind of floats up, and then I don't know. In my head, Godzilla's just been such a big fundamental part of like my favorite type of movies. Also, are just this like weird monster, kind of just this weird existence, and then putting it with the story that also connects it to like history and the nature and the condition of people. Again, you can't beat that combination because you have something that's pulling at your heartstrings and really making you feel for these people, and then again, Godzilla. So it's like I really, really enjoyed it. Like the Godzilla, like
Oh my
again,
God, yeah.
was so he looked so good. The atomic blast, like everything about it, like the scenes that were really true Godzilla, like when he's even holding the train and the people running in the stupid
Stop it! I'm
same
gonna cry.
direction. It's like, but no, but I mean, again, at the end of it all, the story I think was just like beautiful. And
Yeah.
watching again movies that have to do with other cultures and other groups of people that we can't always relate to. This is a movie that to me would seem like a little bit of a like, oh, cool, I'm learning at
Yeah.
least again things that we know from the Japanese culture and this is how they are. But then we got to see another rendition of it that was originating from post World War II. But then again, you throw in Godzilla, and it's just like this crazy story of like survival and then also emotional and personal survival. And I think just the way that it ended was perfect because it just kind of made you feel like, yeah, we can do it, only to find out that it's probably not even for anything. So I don't know, man. It's just such a big topic, and I think it just did it so beautifully. To me, it was just the best one that I saw. That I was just kind of like, I love this movie. I love everything about it. No complaints. And I think it's just in general, like it had so many other things to kind of reflect on, but then it just did something way good and different and better, and it just, I don't know, it was fun.
That's
Number
awesome.
one,
Yeah.
Godzilla's number one or minus one, I guess.
I,
Minus one.
I,
Godzilla's minus one.
I don't disagree with anything that you said, and
Yeah.
out of any movie, that one probably made me feel the most feeling out of any movie.
See? Oh
Yeah.
man.
Okay. What's
Man.
your number one? Or do you want me to go next, bro?
Doesn't matter. Well, mine's a repeat. Is yours a repeat?
No, mine's not a repeat.
Okay, so I'll do mine then. So that way you can keep your original one. So my number one is actually Spider-Man Across the
Oh,
Spider-Verse.
okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
Nice.
Okay.
So that one, I loved this movie. Besides the fact that it's my son's favorite superhero, but like to me, this is what like a superhero movie should be. Like this is what a superhero should be. Like he does the right thing no matter what. Like he doesn't care about fates. He doesn't care about anything. And just a depiction of like this kid battling, like learning how to be a hero and still like balancing personal life and heroing, and then the different depictions of the heroes, because you had Gwen, and we talked about just the visuals of it and just like how much thought everything was put into this. And they even had a kid animating the Lego Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
So like everything that they did and the different frame rates, all the different Spider-Mans, and it was brilliantly done, like artistically. And then the story like carried so much because you had all these different Spider-Mans and then kind of battling like the great thing, like of whether it's fate or whether it's like you're a man of your like of your destiny, or you're in charge of your destiny. And then him battling what is supposed to be inevitable, and then you have that battling like against each other, and then you had Miguel O'Hara being such a great villain that's really not a villain that you can empathize with, and you understand and you feel his pain and everything that he's going through, and all these other characters. And then you understand Miles, and then you just had so many great scenes. And then even Peter B. Parker, like as a new dad and kind of trying to be a mentor and then trying to be a dad and trying to be like an intermediary between all these different sides. And then I just thought it was awesome. Yes, I understand the fact that it ended how it ended, but it makes me want to see the part twos that much more. And
Absolutely.
and I if they would have continued on for another 2 hours, I would have stayed and enjoyed the next 2 hours as long as
Yeah.
they continued as good as that was. But I thought it's been my favorite movie of the year. I can watch it as many times. I did watch it again, and like I was reminded how good of a movie it is. And I loved it.
No, I think that line where it's like everybody keeps telling me how my story should be, and it's like I'm gonna do my own thing. Like it hits hard every single time. Again,
Mhm.
that scene where he's getting chased. I don't want to just like specifically say that's the best scene in the whole movie, but that scene to me is just like I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can't believe that's on screen. I wish I could just like watch it, but watch it in a speed that I can. That scene will play out in 2 hours, just so I can see like scene by scene by scene, and
Everything.
just count
Yeah.
all the Spider-Mans. And even though I'm sure people have already done that, I can just go on YouTube and type it. But yeah, that's a great movie, Raul. Again, I don't know why I didn't have it higher on my list. Kind of makes me feel like I'm missing something about it because I think if you do go back to a review that I really enjoyed it, and Spider-Man has always
Yeah.
been my favorite character also. So I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just it was hard. It was hard. It was so hard, obviously.
What about you, Carlos? Because now I'm like curious.
Okay, okay. So before I do it, you guys did this. You did honorable mentions. So real
Yeah.
quick, before I review my number one, I'm gonna do some honorable mentions. They were on my list, but I had to remove them when better movies came. I thought about better movies that I saw. One of them was Extraction. This is the Chris Hemsworth Extraction 2. Uh,
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
yeah.
Extraction 2 is a really
Okay.
solid movie. I think after seeing Thor 4, if you go see Extraction 2, you'll start kind of liking Chris Hemsworth a lot more. And I think the next Mad Max movie, Furiosa, that's coming out, I think that's really going to elevate his acting career because I think Extraction is a solid scene. Extraction 2 it's a solid movie, and I can't wait for part 3. Another one is Barbie, which we already talked about. I want to say No One Will Save You, which is a movie that came out in Hulu. It's about
Yeah.
aliens coming in and hunting or trying to like get this girl, but this girl somehow in a Looney Tunes kind of style keeps evading them. It's a really solid movie. So if anybody hasn't seen it, I highly recommend No One Will Save You because it does something that's truly like, wow, they really got away with this character not talking throughout the whole movie. And it's kind of incredible because you don't even really notice it as you're watching this movie. So No One Will Save You. It's on Hulu. Another one that I just quickly want to mention is They Clone Tyrone. It's a movie that
That was a fun one.
I really
I
enjoyed
liked
it.
it.
I thought Jamie Foxx's performance was really good. John Boyega. I seen him be great in movies, but this is the one role that I thought he did like phenomenal in. So I just really feel like more people should talk about They Clone Tyrone because I think it was a really like wonderful, twisty, good story movie with good characters, funny characters. Jamie Foxx, man. And so and then my last honorable mention, it's not a movie, this is the one show that I want to throw in there, and that's the Blue.
So
It's a show, it's a Netflix original show that just came out, and to my surprise, it was freaking amazing. I hear a lot of people talk about it in their top 10, and it's Blue Eye Samurai. I think Blue Eye Samurai is awesome. I really think you guys should give it a chance. I think season 2 has been announced, so you are going to get a continuation of this character, and I think if you guys watch it, you will truly enjoy it, especially because it gets very like Quentin Tarantino in some parts of it, and then some parts of it is like another filmmaker's sort of style. So it's really good, man. It's really good. Bro, you saw it?
Yeah, I loved
All
it.
of it? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, okay, dude, we should talk. Yeah, no, it's I really love Blue Eye Samurai.
I loved it too. I thought it was awesome.
way to cheat and throw in a show in there. I wasn't prepared for that one.
I know.
Hey, Ro talked about
I
Attack
thought
on
about
Titan.
putting Beef on my top 10 to throw it off
Yeah,
a
that,
little
that would
bit.
have been a whole different thing. I would have knocked out a movie or two for beef.
No, it's an honorable mention, and then
Yeah.
my number one movie. And I have a gut. I have a gut when I see a movie, and I'm like, man, this movie has like I'm gonna want to see it again because I think I wanted my wife to see it. I think it really surprised me because what you said about it is like in the beginning you're kind of unsure if this is gonna lead to anything to be anything great. But my number one movie is Saltburn. It's a
Oh,
movie that's
what?
it's a movie that's on Prime right now. Anybody can watch
Okay.
it. I don't know if this really got a movie theater, like you could have seen this in the movie theater. Nobody really was talking about it. It only came to my attention because of all the damn TikToks, and I'm grateful for TikTok for kind of like getting me interested in it, because I saw this movie without seeing a trailer, really not knowing anything about it besides who the main actor the main actor that's in the movie. But dude, this movie has so many, and I didn't even enjoy this movie just for those scenes. It doesn't have like one what the fuck's going on scene. It has like 3 or 4 scenes, so it's just kind of like crazy. But if you really like think about it, and you think about the dialogue that some of these characters throughout the movie just like drop, it's like insane. Especially the mom. The mom just has these like crazy line deliveries that is probably what like a truly rich person would probably say about their friends or talk about or just say. But it's insane. And then the way they deal with situations where it's like like they'll just kick you out, not talk about it. Somebody will die and be like they'll do anything for attention. It's just like it's crazy. This was a crazy movie. I really think the bathtub scene is freaking crazy. It's like
yeah.
this actor, what's his name, Barry something. I've seen him. The first time I ever saw him was in Killing of a Sacred Deer, and he's so creepy in that movie, and that movie is so good. And then I kept seeing him I keep continuing to see him in so many like creepy roles ever since
He's
I
so
saw him.
good
And
at that.
he's so good in that. He was in The Green Knight in a creepy little role. He's in the one Irish movie that I saw last year. But dude, I think this movie is gonna get him to be. I mean, he already kind of was cast as the Joker, which I could see like why they're casting him, because he's just such a great actor. And in this movie, you truly see everything that he has to offer. And I think everybody should see Saltburn. And I think this movie, I'm interested to see in a couple of years how the conversation about Saltburn is gonna be. And I got a feeling it's gonna get completely ignored in all these Academy Awards or things that are coming up. But if it doesn't and people are talking about it, I'm gonna be rooting for it, man, because I think Saltburn was freaking awesome.
Dude, why did you not push this movie harder on me? I would have seen it today.
I thought you were gonna see it, and then it surprised me when you were kind of like not.
I'm watching.
No,
Gran
because
Turismo.
like
watched Gran Turismo.
I like the Gran Turismo. It's one of my honorable mentions, but like the way that you were talking about it, it just seems shocking, not necessarily like a good movie. And then and you were like not definite whether it would make my top 10, so that's why I didn't see it. If you would have said it, yeah, it's definitely going to make your top 10, I would have seen it.
I just didn't want to. I don't want to hype something up, and for you to be like, oh, that was just like an interesting.
It's not a great experience, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like I think it's just like this idea of like if you don't know anything about it, you just see it, you could really enjoy it. I really like the one kid that he kind of in the beginning you think he's obsessed over. He's in Euphoria. I think he's a great actor in Euphoria, and I think one day I could see him playing the Batman role, like Bruce Wayne. Even though he's kind of already said that superhero roles are kind of like lame, and he wants to be more of an actor. He's also in the new Priscilla movie where he's depicting Elvis. So this, I feel like even he has a very good chance of becoming even bigger. But the whole movie, I just think the whole movie was just insane. A lot of the characters, a lot of even the Gran Turismo kid, the main actor, he's in this movie, and the way he's portrayed in this movie is freaking like, I don't know, it's just very kind of like, he's my least favorite part of the movie, but he's also, his character's like really cool to have in there because I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, Ramon, but it's the cousin of the family.
He's the one from C, from the Apple TV show with Jason Momoa.
Yes, and I didn't like him in that. I hated him from C, but now I've kind of turned around on him just because of Gran Turismo in this movie. Yeah, he was in C.
He was in C.
Yeah. But I did like the scene where he confronts him and he tells him like, hey, like this is my life. You think because they kicked me out, like they're not gonna want me. Like he's essentially saying like I'm blood, I'm family, like I'm always gonna be here. And it's so crazy, man. I'm surprised at the end of the movie he didn't come up and shoot him because he sort of knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And no spoilers, but it's just Saltburn again.
I stand by you. Obviously didn't make it. I still made it to my list, but it's just one of those movies that again it gives you like, to me it was just 2 scenes that I've never seen. Other ones like kind of similar to something else. 2 scenes I've never seen in any movie. First time I've ever seen this in a movie, and I think that alone is worth it because I mean it wasn't just about the gimmick, because we definitely see movies like what is it, Sorry Not to Bother You or Sorry to Disturb You, like movies like that I mean that was a great movie too, but it's just they have an element of like what the
I'm sorry,
but after that Sorry to Disturb You, Sorry to Disturb You, yeah. But it's like at the end of the day, like if those shock moments are like good and followed around with a good story, it's so worth it. And just like how the movie ends and the very last scene, it made the movie for me even better, because then you're sitting there and you're like, holy shit, I want to do that, so I relate.
Oh
Was
god.
all that worth it? 100% yes. I would have put myself in his shoes and done all that weird shit to
Dude, that
get to
like
that point.
the to me, I think like out of all the scenes, the bathtub scenes to me is just like the way he's like licking it, absorbing
Dude,
it. I'm like,
just,
this is so crazy.
just.
And like, dude, if when I pass away and one of my friends is not doing what he did to that guy in his grave, then you guys truly didn't love me. But Salper, man, that's my number one pick.
I'm upset that you didn't push it harder, but
You don't want
I
him
guess
to
I'll
push it
watch
harder.
it now.
Watch it with your sister, please.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
I'll tell her.
Oh man, but
But
man, what a hell of
wow,
a year, guys.
this was an interesting list to compare
Yeah.
with you guys, because it's interesting to see kind of what you guys value differently than I do, because obviously
Okay.
the three of us are different except for Ramon. He's right in between us two. But
Yes.
yeah, but like it's I don't think you guys really said anything that I disagreed with. Like we obviously have different orders and different things that are different ways that we value movies, but I don't disagree with anything that you guys mentioned,
Not even that I left Oppenheimer out.
except for that. I think blasphemous, and you deserve to go another night without much sleep.
Oh,
If it
there
makes
you
you feel,
go.
if
There you
you,
go.
if it makes you feel better, I clearly thought Oppenheimer for me was better than Barbie. Not taking shots at Barbie, but I enjoyed
No, yeah,
Oppenheimer a lot
yeah.
more. Yeah.
But again, that's kind of what I like about it too, because man, I was just kind of curious to see, and not even that I have to look it up, because like a lot of my social media and stuff, it is a lot of these people that not necessarily critics, but they become critics because they just talk about these things like us, and yeah, a lot of the lists are so different, and I think one is accessibility. There's so many people out there that have like exclusive previews to go watch these movies ahead of time, or like poor things that I really wanted to watch, but I just
I
didn't have the time to
know.
go to the movie theater to watch. But it's like, of course, there's
I'm
movies that could have like been better or been in the list if I would have watched them. And then there's some movies that like to me, like Oppenheimer, where like, yeah, they're a really, really good movie, but it doesn't mean that that's just one of my top 10 because again, all these other movies made me feel some type of way. Oppenheimer just didn't add up the same, right? But again, I think that's what's kind of fun about doing this is that yes, like you said, Raul, it's like so different between all of us, but then also a lot of like the great connections. And clearly, I mean, again, I think always I love some of our recommendations because I feel like more normal people like will watch these and be like, oh, they're right. Like this is totally like a movie for the like normal people. We're not trying to be like super heady and be like, oh my god, this like fabulous film because was it Killer?
That's 6 people I have seen. No.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's another thing too. Is just some movies again we don't have access to as much, and I don't know. I can't keep paying money every single time I want to watch something.
No.
Mhm.
And honestly, not saying that superheroes are over and, we're not going to get more of them because I think we are, even though Sony might kill the superhero universe or movies next year with all their dumb releases. But I rather, like, I look
All
forward to
the
movies.
Spider-Man,
All the
Spider-Verse
Spider-Man dumb
ones.
movies. But I look forward to movies like Oppenheimer, Barbie, Saltburn. It's like, man, at the end of the day, like, I enjoyed Saltburn, Oppenheimer, Barbie way more than Aquaman. And I'm not taking shots at Aquaman, but it's just like, man, like, you could have, like, paid for these movies, like, just with the budget of Aquaman, and, like, the end result would have, it's a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
'Cause,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I know you guys haven't seen Aquaman, but it's just, it truly is a little bit disappointing, especially that being the end.
Well, no, and it's a great thing to be doing right now too, because we went from a year where like they had the writer's strike and all these things, and we were for a moment where we were like, "Damn, like this is gonna suck," and then to be getting such good movies like towards the end of the year too, because a lot of them have been like new releases that it just came out like the last couple months. So I don't know, it's just I'm happy that I can do this for like years to come. And hopefully, my vision stays intact, so I can keep watching TV forever until I die.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also interested to see what like people that are actually listening or watching our podcast, like who they relate to in their taste the most from us three as well.
I'm gonna
So-
definitely try to like put a nice template and put my top 10 and like throw it in the Discord. if you guys want to do the same, just so that people can see, kind of like what Obama did. But yeah, man, after this recording, I'm gonna go on start my Saltburn campaign for the Oscar or original screenplay. I don't know
Yeah,
what.
but don't put your list up until this
Oh,
episode goes out so people can see it.
Gotcha. No, that's
That's
true.
spoilers, and then they can be like, "I wonder what their number one's gonna be." Like Ramon, even though I said, "Well, it's on my list, but higher." It's like, what's your number one gonna be then? If Oppenheimer's number two,
I kept on missing that after a while. I did really think Oppenheimer was going to be your top one, but you know, Cross the Spider-Verse makes sense.
Yeah, well, if you're in our Discord, then you get to know what our list is as the episode releases.
Oh yeah, at the same time.
At the same time.
Or an hour after releases.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're running longer than our normal time, but it was great talking to you about 2020 movies. I look forward to 2024 and seeing what's to come for us. So talk to you guys soon.
See you in the new year.
Bye.